AI, it's not magic. It's not magic. It responds based on how clearly you communicate, right? Some of you may have heard bad input, bad output, right? Bad data in, bad data out. Here's a bad prompt. Write a marketing plan for my business.
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough information there. It's bound to fail. Yeah, that's a good bad one.
Super vague, right? Super
Mm-hmm.
vague. So here's how you take that and make it a good prompt, right? Welcome to the AI Advantage Podcast. I'm your host, Sheridan Wint, and I've got my friend John Foster here, and we're going to be talking about how to talk to AI and get better results, also known as prompt engineering. You may have heard of prompt engineering before.
We had a little bit of experience it yesterday when we asked ChatGPT and Gemini the two different things, and once we rephrased it, I can definitely see how this is going to be helpful.
Yeah. It was that was on our last episode. I think it's episode 4 in the series where we did a side by side of Gemini and ChatGPT to create an image of Florida Man. And in honor of that image, John is dressed like Florida Man today.
Get on, get.
All right. So digging into why prompting matters. AI, it's not magic. It's not magic. It responds based on how clearly you communicate, right? Some of you may have heard bad input, bad output, right? Bad data in, bad data out. It's the same thing when you're prompting a model, right? Any model. Good prompts, better results, less editing, way more accuracy. You put any funny prompts in, John, that you got some crazy outputs on?
Uh, my favorite is when I misspell things because I type too fast or my phone's just too small. I don't know what it is. And then something completely what I did not ask comes up, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Usually for me, I haven't seen like a spelling thing. Usually it's like, oh, I know what you meant. And it just keeps on going.
meh.
Must be misspelling some. There's some words though that you move one or two letters around and the whole meaning of the word changes.
Yep, like uh, like duck.
Like duck. How would you rearrange duck?
I mean, you click one key to the right,
I
you're
see.
in a little bit of trouble.
I see. Got you. Okay. Typo. Typo. All right. So let's talk about prompts, right? What actually is a prompt? Any ideas?
A prompt, well, I would assume it would be setting the AI up for, a request of information that whatever you put in. So input.
Is input. Yeah. It's any input that you give it. So a good way to structure your prompt are instructions and then context and then your desired outcome, right? Instructions plus context plus desired outcome equals a good prompt, right? So you want it tends to work best like any given model, right? AI tends to work best when it knows who it's writing for, what you want, how you want it delivered, and what good looks like, right? What you expect. So we're going to dive in to a 4-part framework, which we touched a little bit on, but it's going to sound a little different, right? Number 1, the role or the perspective, right? Act as a marketing strategist or act as a customer support expert or act as a mad scientist from 1970 and then give it the context. What's the goal? Who's the audience? What problem are we solving? And give it a little bit of context. Well, we'll get into some examples here in a minute, right? So number 1, we got the role and the perspective. Number 2, we've got context. Number 3, we've got task. What exactly do you want it to do? And number 4, the format, right? Do you need bullet points? You need a script? You need an email, a table? You need steps, a blog article? What is it, right? So we're going to talk about some good prompts and some bad prompts and just do a little comparison, right?
Okay.
Can you give me a bad prompt?
I could probably do that all day.
Let's go.
No, I can't. Not on the spot. I thought I could. I failed you.
All right. A bad prompt. Here's a bad prompt. Write a marketing plan for my business.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's not enough information there. It's bound to fail. Yeah, that's a good bad one.
Super vague, right? Super
Mm-hmm.
vague. So here's how you take that and make it a good prompt, right? Let's go back and look at our 4-part prompt framework, right?
Instruction.
Role, context, task, and format. Um, so you are a marketing strategist, right? That's the role.
Mm-hmm.
Helping a small real estate team struggling with lead consistency. That's some context.
Mm-hmm.
The task, create a 30-day marketing plan focused on email nurturing and social content. And then the format it as a weekly checklist. So that's going to put out something way better than write a marketing plan for my business.
100%, 100%. So,
Give me another bad
uh,
prompt.
a good bad prompt.
Let's, or we can walk through another example again together.
Where can I buy a shirt?
Where can I buy your shirt?
Where can I buy
Definitely
a shirt? A
a
shirt.
shirt.
No, just any shirt.
Where can I buy a shirt? Yeah, definitely. You don't know what you're going to get with that one, right?
No, not at all.
So role, let's go through it. What's a role? What's the person's role or perspective?
From the perspective of what's the name for somebody that's in the fashion? So, in the role of someone who is up to date on today's fashion,
Okay.
would that be a good start? Would that be a good role, or would you improve that?
Yeah, I mean, you could say a model as a fashion model,
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, my thing is like I overthink things, and I'm like, the fashion model wouldn't do it. They just wear the clothes.
but you want to buy the fashionable clothes, right?
Yeah, but fashion designer, let's say that
Okay. As a fashion designer, and
as a
then
fashion designer,
context.
and then pick out a shirt that would look good this season
Okay, what season
based
is?
on the recent Fashion Week event that just happened.
Okay. I thought you meant like fall, summer, spring, winter, but fashion season. I got it. I
Well, no,
got
no,
it.
no. Well, okay. Well, no, not a fashion season. So there's different like
I thought you meant
seasons.
weather seasons.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, this season, like, I mean, like, it's starting to get chillier. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, well, I don't know. I'm
Here's what
bad
we
at
got so
this.
far. Role number one, as a fashion designer. Two, the context. What problem are we solving? I need to find a new shirt to wear to an event.
Okay.
Task, find me a shirt and explain the event, right? Maybe is it like a black tie event? Is it a ball? Is it a
Yeah.
just a kickback at somebody's house? Is it like at so you want to give it that context. What kind of event is it? And then the task, find me a shirt that I can wear that's blue.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
even if the problem has not as much information, you gotta kind of add more detail into it, you know, to be able to generate the better results. I'm assuming.
yeah, yeah. So here's another way we could do it, right? As a fashion model, find me, I need a, as a fashion model, that's the role. I need a blue dress for a cocktail party. That's the context.
Mm-hmm.
Task, find me a blue dress I can wear. And then the format, provide this as a list of URLs where I can go look at the dresses.
Okay.
Now you could shorten that up a little bit too. You could say, as a fashion model, I need a blue dress for a cocktail party. Provide me with a list of dress options. Right now, that last sentence, you put the task and the format in the same sentence, right? The task is give me a list of dresses, and the format is a list, right, of
Yeah.
dresses. So yeah, so it doesn't have to be crazy. You can kind of combine a lot of that stuff, but basically, the more information you give it, the better result you're going to get. Yep. 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 All right. Prompting mistakes, common prompting mistakes. Being too vague, right? Give me a business plan. Well, we need to know what business it is and what you're planning for, right? What do you sell? All of that good stuff. What are your services? What are your offerings? What's your budget? Asking for too much at once, right? Asking for it to give you a plan for how you're going to get from a high school graduate to landing on the moon with just your own money, your own budget, right?
Mm,
It might give you some sort of plan, but it's going to be pretty tough to execute because it will lack a lot of details, right? Another common mistake, leaving out the audience, right? Telling it to generate something, but not telling the model who the intended audience is, who's going to read it, who's going to look at this thing. Another common mistake, forgetting to specify the tone. right? You want to say, is it going to be friendly, right? And let's say you're drafting an email. Is it supposed to be professional? Is it supposed to be friendly? Is it supposed to be authoritative? What kind of tone do you want it to
Okay.
have? Examples, right? Not giving examples. That's another common mistake. It gets much better if you give it an example and say, hey, here, I'm looking for a JSON file structured in this particular way, right? And if you give it the example, well, the example should have all the values, all the keys in it that you're looking for, right? So then it can say, oh, okay, well, let me just replace the values and keep all the keys, and your output will be structured exactly like probably you wanted it to be because you gave it an example. Another common mistake is not telling the model what you don't want it to do, right? Don't format this as HTML. Don't,
Mhm.
right? Don't give me a list of text. Give me a list of hyperlinks, right? So you're telling it what not to do and what to do. Another common mistake is not iterating enough, right? First response that you get from a model,
Mhm.
not always the best response, but you can modify it, you can adjust it. It's a conversation, right? It's not like a one-off request.
So
Yep.
when you're saying you have to ask it a multitude of times or just a couple times about
Well,
the same thing, redundancy?
not always, but if you don't like the response that you get and you want it to be better, you can tell it exactly in what way you want it to be better. So let's say in our example earlier, it gives us a list of dresses and it says, you know, this dress by this designer, this dress by that designer, right? Dress number 3 by designer number 3. And it's just giving you a list of text. Well, that's not what you wanted. What you wanted was a list of links, hyperlinks that you can click on, and then it opens it up in Sephora or I don't know, some fashion brand. I have no idea. So if it gives you not what you wanted, then you can just say, hey, format this. I like to actually just put the word output with a colon instead of having to say format it like this. I just put output colon list of URLs, right?
Okay.
Very brief.
And what is that by doing that? What does that do specifically?
Well, instead of giving you a list that says, you know, this blue dress by designer 1, this blue dress by designer 2, instead it will literally just give you a list of hyperlinks you can click on.
Okay. So but the colon, adding the colon in there and stuff like that, is that a key to all the non-IT people?
So I like to, let's say we're talking about context, we're talking about giving it more information, better data in, better data out.
Mhm.
Pro tip that I like to do is I'll just write a single sentence or question, but I give it context within the question.
Mm.
Let me pull up an example and just go look at something recently that I did. All right. So I wanted to, let me find it. I was working on a growth plan for a client and I put in a sentence that says, output this with formatting instead of markdown, right? And so it's one sentence, output this as formatting instead of markdown, which it might sound like a bad prompt, right? But
Mhm.
in between those two words where I said output this, after this, I put parentheses. And inside the parentheses, I put like a massive amount of text. It's like 10 or 12 paragraphs. And it's all written in markdown format. And all I wanted it to do was actually give it to me as bold, right? Because it gave it to me in plain text. So when you look at
Mm.
the text, it's like star, 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 week 1, star, star, star. And that makes it bold, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't want all that in there. So I just wrote a sentence. I said, output this with the formatting instead of in Markdown. And I put all of that text in parentheses in there. So it knows what text I'm talking about. And it knows that I don't want it to look like that. Right. I
Yeah.
want it. So parentheses, I use all over the place. I'll use a colon. I might say, if I'm building a website, I might say, make these, make the following changes, colon, right? And then
Mhm.
parentheses, and I'll put all the changes in there and then close the parentheses and put a period. And then I might also give it some more to do, although you could probably put all of the changes within the parentheses.
When you say markdown, like for the non-IT people, what does that mean?
My phone
Also
is,
me, because I
oh,
don't
here
know.
it is. So Markdown's just like a format, a syntax. It just, I don't know. Let me ask ChatGPT to explain it better than I can. Probably should give you like a different example, a way more simple example.
Show us an example of a good prompt for solving this problem.
So let's see. So let me give you an example using the colon and the parentheses, right? Back to our fashion designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that they or our fashion model. Let's say that we made the prompt like this. Help me find a dress that meets these requirements and doesn't look like it's been bedazzled and wasn't in this list of dresses, right? And so that's like one sentence, right? It's like one run-on sentence. But if you use parentheses in there in the right places, then you can give it much better requirements. So let's start a new chat here. I'll share my screen.
So like putting like things like no sequins and other little details that go in the dresses that you do not want. Like you don't want shiny, sparkly. You want something more matte.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Find me, provide. Let's do it this way. As a fashion model, provide me a list of dresses that meet these requirements, parentheses, right? That I can wear to a cocktail party. Make sure it doesn't have any of these features
Parentheses.
and wasn't isn't on this list of dresses from last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the requirements here, I might say blue, sleek, not fluffy, right? No, has lace. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really into dresses, so I'm just making this up as I go. But
Just just mini skirts.
yeah, mini
Mm.
skirts. Um, covers the knees, right? Let's keep it classy. Covers the knees. That I can wear to
Knee
a cock.
length. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we'll put is at least knee length. Make sure it doesn't have any of these features. Sequins. I'm probably going to spell that wrong, but whatever.
I
Uh,
I have no idea. Actually, I think you spelled it right, but I'm not sure.
bedazzled glitter. All right, doesn't have any of that, and is not
You
on this
did.
list. Not on this list of dresses from last year. We'll say, ah, I don't know anything about dresses. Not from this list of brands. We'll do that. So no Nike dresses, no Adidas,
Jimmy Choo,
no
Versace. You know.
yeah, sure, no Versace. So anyway, so
Actually,
we
does
just
it
put
does
all of
Versace
that
even
in the
make dresses?
parentheses. So now this prompt, it looks pretty long, but it's really just a sentence, you know, find me the dress that meets these requirements that I can wear to a cocktail party. Two sentences. Make sure it doesn't have any of these features, right? And isn't on this list of brands. So that's very specific. Now it's going to give me a list, right? And it's probably, I don't know if they'll have URLs or not. I'm curious how this is going to go. Looking into dress recommendations, focusing on reputable retailers. It's telling us how it's thinking. Look at this.
Mm.
All these sites that it's um, searching. Double check that they don't have sequins or glitter. It's very cool, man. You can see the thought process it's going through.
Yeah, that is extremely neat. Hmm.
It said it came across some dresses that it's not sure if it has it, but that brand typically does have some sparkly stuff going on, so it's just going to stay away from that brand.
Okay.
Searching some more. Saks Fifth Avenue.
Okay.
Here we go. It says each product page is going to be cited. All right. It's giving a list of dresses and a description of why that dress meets the requirements, and there's a URL.
Dope.
So we have 5 dresses here. Now I can say output list of URLs only, because maybe I want to email this to somebody, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So now we're iterating on the prompt. We're telling it exactly what output we want. It's thinking, all right, there's the URLs. Write this as write this list as an email to a fashion model friend. So we're just iterating on what it came out with. And now here we go. Now it basically did everything for us. It drafted the email. It says, hey, friend's name, right? We didn't tell it our friend's name. I've been scouting some cocktail-ready dresses and found a bunch that I think you'll like. Blue, sleek lace, knee length or longer, completely free of sequins, glitter, and bedazzling, perfect for a chic evening.
And like that, we now know where to go get dresses.
I'm sure everybody was super interested in that.
I mean, it is 2025.
Ladies, here you go. The top one on here is number one is Self Portrait by Blue Fine Lace Midi Dress. Oh no, maybe that brand is Self Portrait. Anyways,
Oh, I
dress.
shop at Nordstrom, so there's one by my house.
Yeah. All right, let me stop sharing. All right, let me stop sharing. So anyway, that's some examples how you can make your prompts better, how you can avoid some of the mistakes. Let's do some. There's some templates. Some people actually sell these templates. I don't think that's necessary for you to do that. You can just ask AI to help you create it into a better prompt, right? But
Mhm.
if you want to go buy templates, feel free, go buy them. Maybe we'll put some on the website. Who knows? I think it's a little. I think it's a. I don't know. It seems to me
I'm
it's like,
curious.
huh?
What happens if we ask AI? Just
To
say
give you a
like,
prompt.
yeah, how can I best format my questions for you to help me?
So there's a cool setting in a lot of these models. ChatGPT, for example, you can go into the settings and you can say preferences, right? And you can tell it, talk to me like a 5-year-old, right? You can also say, if I don't give you enough information, ask a clarifying question, right? Or ask clarifying questions if you don't have enough information. Another thing I like to do is I'll use one model to draft a prompt and put it into a different model. So let's say I'm like building a website and I'm using AI to like build a whole web app or something.
Mhm.
I'll format all of it. Like I'll get it all ready to go in say like Claude or ChatGPT and say, help me create a prompt for this tool that I'm using to build a website. I want the website to meet these requirements, right? I want it to match my brand. I want it to align with my tone. And you got to tell it, these are my brand colors and this is the tone I use. I'll go to a website and grab all the text on the website and say, here's my existing website and everything that is on there now, right? And build out a site map. I want it to have these pages, contact us, and features and offerings. And so you just put all that, and then ChatGPT or whatever model you're using will spit out a prompt. And you can take that and put it in the other one, and it'll build out the whole website, the whole app for you.
That's nuts. That's crazy. Is it able to verify its own creation? Like, is it able to like, you know how when you create a website and everything like that, like the contact us button isn't mapped correctly, and it isn't, is it able to check on itself?
Some of the models can, yeah.
That's
Some of the tools
crazy.
can. One of the ones I use, it'll test it, right? It'll do like when you do a software development cycle, you got dev, test, QA maybe,
Mhm.
or UAT, and then production, right? All the organizations tend to have their own way that they do those. But this tool that I use, it will develop it and then it will test it, make sure that it works, and then it'll say, okay, hey, it's ready to go, and publish it.
That is amazing. Because
Yes, sir.
I was just thinking in my head and everything like that. One of the biggest things and one of the hardest things that I experienced when learning this and stuff like that was like user friendliness.
Yeah,
You could probably like ask AI and be like, from the perspective of a web developer, make input whatever the website or whatever. What would you suggest to make this more user friendly?
yeah,
And then, maybe a little bit more context sprinkled in, but, it'd probably tell you exactly how to do it. That's crazy.
it would. All right. With that, I think that's a good point for us to hear a quick message from our friends and sponsors, and we'll be right back after this. Right now, AI is deciding who your next customer trusts, and it might not be you. You might not realize it yet, but ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, all of these models are already deciding who they choose to recommend in industries like yours. And they don't always list options either. Sometimes they give one answer. And if that answer isn't you, then AI just referred your ideal customer to your competitor. That's why we created the free AI Visibility Review. It's a short live session where we will sit down with you and show you what AI thinks of you and your brand and your company, who it thinks is an authority, and what you can do to become the authority that it starts to recommend. Don't just guess where you stand, find out. Schedule your free AI visibility review today at advantagelabs.ai and see if AI knows that your business exists. Imagine what it would do for your business if ChatGPT was actually referring people to you. advantagelabs.ai, your AI advantage. And we're back. This is the AI Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Sheridan, and we were just talking about prompt engineering. Specifically, how do you talk to AI and get better results? The next thing that we were going to go through were some ideas for how to do different things with your prompts, right?
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. First up, brainstorming, right? Give me 10 ideas for blank, right? You know, it's a good way to start a prompt. Give me 10 ideas for this. Or give me 10, give me 100, give me 50, whatever, right? Give it a number. Another thing that you can do is rewrite, right? Rewrite this to be clearer, shorter, more casual, that kind of thing. Obviously, you gotta put the context in there of what you want it to rewrite. But we're not going to get into the whole prompt. We're just going to give you real quick some ideas on how you can start off a prompt. Summarization. Summarize this as a bullet point list. Turn this into a step-by-step workflow, right? If you want to create a standard operating procedure, create a process, turn this into a step-by-step workflow. Comparisons. Compare option A and B. I do this a lot. I'll say compare and contrast these two softwares or these two products I'm thinking about buying, right? And give
Mm-hmm.
me a well, that's all I'll say. I say compare and contrast
Pros and
these.
cons list.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll do that on its own, but you can also specify like, you know, I'm concerned about the price, or I really want to make sure I have this feature, right? So you can get that context in there, but I use it a lot for comparing things. All right, now on to the power of iteration. We talked about that a little bit earlier with the example that we did with the dress, right? Iterating on that
Mm-hmm.
prompt. So just a few things when you get some output and it's not exactly what you want, just tell it it can be exactly what you want, right? Make it friendlier, make it shorter, make it more concise. Give me 3 variations to pick from, or give it an example. A lot of times the second prompt is better than the first, or the second output is better than the first as well.
Yeah, we learned that on the dresses part. Yeah, for sure. I can agree to that.
Yeah, yeah. And we learned it with Florida Man. Now, let's say that you are getting an output that you don't like, right? And you did everything you can think of. You used the 4-part prompt framework, right? You did the
Mm-hmm.
role, the role or perspective, the context, the task, and the format. You did all of that, and you iterated on it, and it's still coming out bad, and you don't like the output, right? A simple thing you can do is say, "What information do you need from me to finish this, right? What do you need from what details do you need from me to make this better?" You can just ask it and see what it says. Maybe it needs some details that have not been provided yet.
Yeah, I like that feature for sure because especially like, you mean you know what you want something, and you need it done, but you don't know exactly how to phrase it. You know what I mean? And that kind of gives you like a guideline to where you can like level it out. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right, I think that about does it for today. A few takeaways from today's episode. A good prompt is clarity plus context plus constraints. That's a good prompt. We've got the 4-prompt framework here that anyone can reference at any time. We're going to have a blog article about that you can check out. That'll be a link in the description. Something to think about. AI is your partner. Think of it like a junior team member that can help you out. And I'd like to challenge you to go try a few prompts today. It's free. You can try a lot of these tools for free. Go try them out. See what you can do, and let us know how it goes. All right. Well, take care. This is Sheridan signing off. See you on the next episode of the AI Advantage podcast.